Well, before we get started into the bulk of the service, I'm going to introduce this rockin' band. Woo! They're smoking. This is Byron Van Noy on the drums over here. And then we've got Rebecca Young over here on the bass. And one of my good friends over here, Eric Robert, on the piano and keyboards. And of course, the ever-present James Howard on the guitar. All right. And then we have someone new on backups here, Reverend Michael Ingersoll. And my right-hand, left-hand person here, Lisa Craze. Give it up. And of course, we have Rafe Pearlman in the house, who'll be up here in a minute. Now, and yours truly, Beverly Doherty. Thank you. Stand up and sing with us as we sing I Am As God Created Me. Come on, put your hands together. Are you ready? Here we go. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the. Let's break it down. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, and the glory. In the light, in the love, and the glory. I am. Sing a little louder now. In the light, in the love, and the glory. In the light, in the love, and the glory. In the light, in the love, and the glory. Let's do it one more time. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory.
Good evening. I'm Kathianne Lewis, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. This is my used to be my favorite holiday ever. Loved it, loved it, loved it. So much more than Christmas, because I love ceremony. And the way that I used to celebrate New Year's Eve is I would have friends over, and we'd talk about. Was that me? We'd talk about the previous year, and we would talk about what we envisioned for the coming year, and we'd make commitments, and we'd be together in the middle of those commitments, and it was so powerful. It was and sacred. The word was spoken, and the word is sacred. And so, I don't know when we started doing this, maybe 6 years ago. It just seemed like such an appropriate time for people of like minds to gather together and have that kind of expression. And so I'm really grateful that you're here tonight. I will give you a few ground rules in a minute, because we do have rules. But before I, but before I do that, I was thinking about the song, "The Coat of Many Colors." How many of you have heard that song, or at least know it was written? How many of you know that if you never heard of Dolly Parton, you at least heard of the Bible, and and the Coat of Many Colors? Who's never heard of the Bible or Dolly Parton? I just want to know what my audience is. All right. Well, listening to the band as they were playing and then listening to Rafe, I thought, this is a center, a spiritual center of many sounds. Because this morning, we started out at 4 o'clock in the morning with a very different sound. Yeah, so who was at the 4 o'clock in the morning? God bless you. That sound. The sound of a meditation and softer music and softer words. But you know, God plays in all ways. If we say that we celebrate all paths to God, well, then we also celebrate all sounds to God. And it's just as powerful to have beating drums as it is to have silent meditation and wild singing. So at this center, we honor it all. And I just want to let you know, tonight is the wild singing night. Just, you know, sometimes we're quiet, sometimes we're reserved. This is not that night. This is not that night. And so if you came to Christmas Eve or Eve service and, you know, we had some choir music and traditional songs and you kind of sang along and I was, you know, it was very reverent. This is not that night. Because let's get into the mood of this evening, but this evening we're celebrating the ending and the beginning of something. The ending and the beginning, not of a cycle. I talked about that. If I don't want to do what I've done before, which I've tried to lead us up into this evening. So the last 2 Sunday services, if you weren't here, you can get CDs of it. You can watch them on YouTube, which kind of led up to this. Talking about the end of a cycle, and then last Sunday we spoke about the things that we need to release and let go so we don't take them into the new year. That's that. This is a different conversation, totally different conversation. But we're still going to end. But we're ending something different. But before I get into that, I want to tell you the ground rules. The ground rules are, keep your clothes on. I was trying to think of something that you couldn't do. You can stand up, you can clap, you can sing along, you can dance. We left room up front because this is the pre-party party. This is where we have the God Fest. So afterwards, if you're going to be with friends or you're going to go out to dinner or you're going to go to another party, that's great. But this is the party fest for God, the Spirit Fest. Because sometimes you just have to do it. So are you clear on that? Yes, great. So let's begin with a conversation that needs to happen, and that's about endings. Not the same kind of endings I ask people to do on Sunday. I ask people to release a prejudice they might have and other things. But this is a night where we need to talk about, and we're not going to release, but we're going to end something. But we're going to end it as though it were beginning. What I've noticed in this particular group of people that I get to play with often is we, and I say we because I do it too. It seems like we always hold back in talking about the great things that have happened in our life. And I'm not sure why that is. I have some theories. You may be like my mother who told me not to talk about the good stuff happening in my life because that would sound like bragging. People don't like people that brag. That might be part of the reason. Another reason might be that you forgot. It's not on your mind. And something else, and this is more superstitious. It could be that you don't want to talk about it because you don't want it to end. And if I talk about it, then it's done. So how many of you are the don't brag kind? Just a few of you. Quite a few of you. All right? I would love for you to get last week's Sunday talk and let that go. Then, the other one. How many of you have just forgotten what happened? It's not on your mind. Moving on. And how many of you believe that if you talk about it, it might come to an end? Like sort of a superstitious, like, I don't want to talk about it because it might jinx it. So, I love the way you are. That's me, and that's kind of me. I love it. Well, I want to make a suggestion. The suggestion is that if God is always finding new ways to express in its creation, and we are the edge of that creation, we are the place where new stuff can happen in the universe. We're going to create new stuff, and it's going to be along one or two paths or branches. And since consciousness is cause, I'm giving you a brief rundown of what I believe. Consciousness is cause. And if I hold in my mind everything that I don't like, then there's a tendency as the universe moves through us that we're going to create more of what we don't like. If I hold in my mind what I do like and what is good, there's going to be a tendency for the universe to move through that and create more of that good. And since a lot of people believe this is sort of a pivotal time, wouldn't it be a great thing to put our attention on the good that we've had last year so that we can build off of that? That good is no longer the mountaintop, it is the stepping stone to something greater. Because I don't think the universe says, well, you know, you were healthy last year, so this year. I don't think the universe says, you know, you were loved by a lot of people last year, so you can have more love and you can have more health, you can have more creativity, you can have more experience, you can have more opportunity because it could move through you. I had a conversation with a friend today, and that friend has had last year was a mixed bag. How many of you know friends that had a mixed bag? How many of you had a mixed bag? Lived a mixed bag? It's a mixed bag. And you know what? You seem to notice by whatever day you're on, the bag changes constantly. It's like, oh, one of my husbands had this term he really liked. It's from a country or western song, and it's actually sort of I think it's a compliment to a woman. But the country and western song was, she was built like a burlap bag full of bobcats. And I never quite understood it. But to me, that would be a mixed bag. You know, like you don't know what's coming out, if it's going to claw you or bite you or purr, you know? So anyway, I will get back on track. What I want to say is that my friend had a mixed bag life last year. And she called me, and I think she called me, whether she knew it or not, to remind her that there had been much more good than there had been bad. I wanted her to end the year remembering all the times that God came through. All the times that she had fallen down and somehow wings had picked her up. Because sometimes it's easy to remember the falling down and not the picking up. So to create what I'd like to have happen this time together, I'd like us to talk about what worked. So I have two mic runners, Holly and Nick. And anyone want to share a good thing that happened last year? So you heard some people talk about what was good. Some of it is they're here. A family member beats cancer. It's wonderful. It's like the whole range. But before we go forward, I would like for you to think about what is good. What has been good. What was good. Because I'd love for that to be the floor that you step up from. And if your mind is a tricky mind, it might try to throw you a couple of wild cards like, yeah, but remember this, remember this. If it throws you memories that you don't necessarily want to embrace, simply say, thank you very much, and put it under the chair. We actually have very holy chairs, and they have the power to destroy all bad memories. I made that up. But most religions are, so let's go with that one. Religions are made up, God's not. People made up a way to connect with the infinite. And if it works for you, you use it. Because God is real. That power is real. So go with me on the magic chairs. And then let another memory come up, and I would like you to think about the good. Good stuff happened. So let that memory of the greatest thing that happened to you, let it be in your mind. Let it raise you up. And let it be so permanently in your memory, in your body with this dance, that every time you fall down, you can remember that and remember that you were raised up. You've been raised up, and you want to be raised up now. Because oftentimes we think the same thoughts. How many of you have noticed that? I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. What we want to do is have the divine thoughts of the divine mind that lives within us, and it does not think of limitation. It does not think of repetition. It doesn't think of things outside. No, it does think of things outside our norm. So we need to be raised up in consciousness, raised up in heart, raised up in possibility. If you want that, this is going to be a great song.
Amen. Keep it down, keep it down. I want to hear some snapping. I've been getting into the snapping lately. Snapping. you're all snapping on Christmas Eve, and I was like, this is a snapping meditation. It's a gentle reminder. Keep it going. Surely we all wrestled with angels. Surely we all have been lost, here we're found. Stand on the rock with the wisdom of ages. Where we stand, this is holy ground. And I am that I am. Whoa, I am that I am. I am that I am. Whoa, I am that I am. Sing it out. I am that I am. Whoa, I am that I am. Again. I am that I am. Whoa, I am that I am. Sing it out. I am that I am. Whoa, I am that I am. I am that. I am that I am. Whoa, I am that I am. Oh, I am that I am. Oh, I am that I am. I am that I am. I'm gonna raise it up again. All together. Raise me up. Raise me up. All together. Raise me up. I am that I am. Come on. Raise me up. All together. Raise me up. Raise me up. Oh, I am that I am. All together. Raise me up. Raise me up. Raise me up. Thank you. Thank you for being with us, heart and soul.
When we raise up, we are lifted above conditions, which is something that I want to talk about. Oftentimes at this time of year, we look at what's going on in our life and we decide what we will fix the next year. A lot of resolutions are about fixing. And I was listening to NPR as I was driving down here, and most resolutions, I thought that they lasted 2 months. No, they don't last 2 weeks. The study is that resolutions are gone by the first 2 weeks. So we might want to think of it a little bit differently. And so let me get back to this idea, but if we would, let's set resolutions aside, what would we do? Well, the theme for this month has been, and it's ending tonight, unto us an idea is given. The Son of God is an idea of God. We're all ideas of God. The earth is an idea of God. And if God tweaks you, insert any other name you want, because it's really not about the word. It's about the idea of something greater than ourselves. Something that is the love intelligence of the universe that says, let there be, and then creates out of itself. But that's a long description, and God is so short and succinct, and I can pronounce it fairly well. So if we are an idea or a son of God, then oftentimes we get to look at it that way, like I am the son of God, I'm an idea of God. And then when we see our life, we look for greater expressions of that divine idea in our life. I think it was Eric Betterworth who said, and he was talking about prosperity. It's in the book Prosperity. You can get the book if you like. He says, there are no money problems. There's only idea problems. Next Sunday, a woman's going to talk about, I've asked her to talk about her experience because she's so excited that she formed an outrageous, audacious intention to get out of debt in 2015. And she told me the number, and it was pretty big. And she shared with me, if it wasn't last Sunday, the Sunday before, she shared that she has accomplished that. She is out of debt in a year. Outrageous. But what happened is that she let herself have that idea, an outrageous idea, and then other ideas followed. She she did not have what she would have truly liked, which is some sort of conjuring trick by the divine, and all of a sudden her bank account was hundreds of thousands of dollars more than she expected. It doesn't happen that way. But idea after idea after idea, something happened. So when we want to have a larger life, we're saying to the universe, I'm ready for larger ideas. I'm ready for an idea beyond what I think I can do so that I can break out of this self-created box I've called my life. And I can live a life that expresses more of the divine in me. So an example of that might be, well, who has something that they thought they wanted to fix and is brave enough to say it out loud, really loud? Oh, nobody. Yes, what was yours? Oh, yes. So, I'm sure you're the only one here, but but I'm so grateful that you shared that. So my friend Sandra said, I want to lose weight. How many of you might have a health weight body issue? Look at us. Here we are. So what would be a greater issue? And I say this because, or a greater problem or a greater idea. And I say this because Jung said the best way to solve a problem is to get a bigger one. Isn't that true? So what would be a bigger idea that would erase and handle the idea of how we look at our body? What would be a bigger idea? Love, but what, especially around the idea of body, what would it be? How can I be healthier? Do you see that that's an issue? Like, I have an idea of being healthier. Do you see how that would handle a lot of things? So it's not about fixing, it's about becoming. And then the rest is handled. I'm so grateful that you said that, because I had to tell, I'm signed up for something in September, and because, I don't know why they asked me this, but they did. They asked me how tall I was and how much I weighed. And so I told them what I will weigh in September. And since I can't lie, it's like, oh man, I really got to get going. How exciting. There's a finish line. But now it's not about losing weight, it's about fitting into the thing that they've created for me in September. It's a bigger problem. See? I mean, we might be laughing at this, but it's true. So take your intention card out. And if you don't have an intention card, then one of our ushers will help you get one. If you don't have an intention card, there's a few people that don't have one. Cindy Clay doesn't have one. Leo doesn't have one. We'll get some to you, because it's going to be important to have one right now. Great. So, in a moment, we're going to have some music and then some time of reflection. And if you've already filled this out, take another one, because if you listen, you might have a different answer. I know that my mind always goes to fixing, but spirit is always going to lifting. My mind says, I need to do this, and spirit says, you need to be this. So everyone's got a card now? Great. The first part of it is an addition, something we haven't done before, because our theme for next year is making the world a better place. And when you start to listen, I would love for you to have Spirit instruct you on how you can make the world a better place. Often we think that, once again, that we think that what can I do, but Spirit always says there's always something that we can contribute to the world. Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world. And I don't know about you, but I really feel a call to do my part for transforming the world. I'll feel better. So the first question that you would listen to and then fill out is about your place, your part in making the world a better place. Just as Jonathan listened and started cooking for a homeless shelter just one day a month. He doesn't have to take on all days, just one. There might be something that Spirit informs you about, just a small piece of the pie. The next question is, with Spirit as my partner, I intend. And when you listen to the music and you listen to the silence, what would be a high and holy intention for next year? If you were lifted up, if you were standing on your accomplishments, whether they were, no matter how you judge them, if you stood on the good and you allow yourself to continue to be lifted up, what would a high and holy intention for next year be? Now let me tell you what an intention is. An intention is something that you put your mind on and you let it draw you to it. A goal is something you check off. An intention has almost a life of its own. Judge Thomas Troward said that in the end is the means. In the end is the means. So what do you want to be experiencing this time in 2016? This time next year, what would you intend to have, just as that beautiful woman intended to be out of debt? Is that clear? Now, I know you want to start writing, and you can, but when you listen, you may find something different. So let's just take a deep breath and join Rafe in being still and knowing God. And then we'll move into just more silent music, and I'd like you to just let that more meditative music, this is a center of many sounds. In the middle of that more silent music, let Spirit speak and let your hand write.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know I am. Be still and know, be in love. Be still and know I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know I am. Be still and know, be in love. Be still and know I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know I am. Be still and know and be in love. Be still and know I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know I am. Be still and know, be in love. Be still and know I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know I am. Be still and know and be in love. Be still and know I am.
Michael Meade said, "The new year is not something before us. It is something hidden within us. It's trying to find light. Don't wait for the right gift to be given to you. Look inside instead and find the holy message trying to be opened. Look inside. Let the silence speak. Be still and know God is always talking. God is always talking. So let that still small voice within reveal to you, how can you make the world a better place in 2016? And when you know what it is, just simply write it down and continue to listen. And let your life be spread out before you. And what does that Holy One within ask you to intend? Not by yourself, not by your own might, not by your own cleverness, not by your own willpower, not by your own cunning, but with Spirit as your partner. What can you intend for yourself, your family, your friends, your world? What can you intend for 2016? Write that down now. And if that intention makes your palms sweat, praise God. If it boggles your mind, oh, yippee-ki-yay. If you have no idea how you could possibly do it, yes, you're on the right track. It's with Spirit as your partner. What does it ask you to intend? Standing on the accomplishments of last year. Standing and stepping off of all the good in your life into an even greater good. What does Spirit ask you to intend? Are you willing to stop living the same year over and over and over again? Are you willing to let your intentions take you into totally new territory? Because an intention, if it's high and holy, will not let you stay the same. An intention, when it's high and holy, says, you know what? You've done good. Now let's do better. It will make you grow. It will make you expand. It will make you experiment. It'll make you fail and fail and fail until you stand up and go, oh, I can do this. If it's easy, it's your mind. If it's a stretch, there's a good chance it's divinely inspired. For in the Bible it says, behold, I will make all things new. This is holy time. This is new time. This is sacred time.
everything true. For I am ready for my next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. 'Cause I'm through crying, I'm through waiting, I'm through hoping against all hope. I'm through longing for something gone, never return. I think I finally learned to bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for the next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. 'Cause I'm through grieving, I'm through dreaming that the life I had is ever coming back. No more wishing someone else's star never be mine. Oh, I think it's time to bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. I've survived many times before, broken hearts, oh, and slammed doors. I'll be alright, yes I will, once more. Just as I did back then, I'm gonna rise again. So bring it on, everything new, everything different, and everything true. I'm ready, next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. Come on, bring it on, everything new, everything different, everything true. Next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. Oh, I know it's gonna be every little thing. Amen. Thank you.
So if you're going to take God as your partner to move into this high and holy intention, if it's something that you can hold and it will draw you to it, and in the end is the means, we still have to listen all the way so that you know when the ideas show up that will take you there. I do believe in instantaneous demonstrations. I've seen a few, had a few, but most of the time it's with a process. Most of the time there's unfolding steps. So here's a way to pray. Easy, easy, easy breezy. Easy, easy. This is the easy way for supporting your intention. Simply say, address whatever, I would say Father, Mother, God, because I believe it's male and female and everything else. So, and it's short and succinct and it rolls off the tongue. So I say, Father, Mother, God. You can say whatever you want. But so let's just say, hi, just humor me, Father, Mother, God. Father, Mother, God, thank you for the intention of. Thank you for, and then you fill it in what you've got. Does everybody have an intention? So you're actually saying thank you. You were inspired. You accept it. Thank you. I'm grateful. It's kind of like if somebody gives you a compliment, you say thank you. Somebody gives you a good idea, thank you. Somebody invites you to something, thank you. Thank you for the intention of lead me into its fulfillment. Thank you. And then you could say, and so it is, or Roger Dodger out, or my husband used to work at the railroad, and so he ends all of his telephone conversations like, here we go. I guess that's how he got rid of people. On the phone, I'm not sure. So however you want to end it, and some people will say, amen, it doesn't matter. So let's practice that together. Father, Mother, God, thank you for the intention of. And now silently in your head, say it. Be grateful. Lead me into its fulfillment. Thank you. And so it is.